Welcome to the Black News Network, your source for news from a Black perspective. We're here to cut through the noise and bring you the unfiltered truth. No sugarcoating, no spin, just raw, honest reporting.
Salam, salam from the desk of the emissary. This is the Black News Network featuring the War Report. This is the real voice of Black USA. I do not own the rights to the music, but I do own the rights to what I say. Let's crack it up now. Where y'all at? First of all, thank you so much for viewing the Black News Network. I want you to know that I really do appreciate your presence. I appreciate your comments, and I appreciate you subscribing to my YouTube channel. It is very difficult to build a YouTube channel without you. And I really think that your participation is what's really making this a go. So thank you so much. This is our year number 3 going on with the Black News Network and the War Report. So your presence is greatly appreciated. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and subscribe to us on YouTube. Thank you so much for doing what you do. Today, we want to talk about the forgotten one in the room, and that is our women. We're going to talk about our women, and we're also going to talk about the destruction of hope. Because right now, we're losing hope in America. But when we see something like we saw down in Alabama on the docks, then we know that there is hope for our people. Because our Black people ain't taking too much shit nowhere. Did you notice that everybody bringing Donald Trump up on charges is Black? So now we're waiting for Donald Trump to be brought up on charges down in Georgia. And we don't know what's going to happen. This is a Black young lady who's the district attorney there, and she's she's going up to the Georgia Supreme Court to determine if they can press charges against Donald Trump for trying to change what has happened with the what was happening with the Georgia election ballot. There's a Black woman that lives in Georgia that's been harassed and frequently bothered. I don't know why, but everybody thinks that she tampered with the voting registration, but that was a goddamn lie. And I just want to say that was a goddamn lie. If you know what an unk is, you know that the unk is the real representation of Christ and a holy one and a believer in God. You see people wearing a cross, you see people wearing an ankh, and you want to kind of figure out which one is best for you. Well, as a person with melanated skin, you and I should realize that we have been lied to, we have been hoodwinked, we have been bamboozled about what's good for us and what's not good for us. So the woman is the ankh. There's 2 parts to the ankh. The symbol of a Leo is basically the top part of the ankh, and that represents a part of a woman. The other part of the ankh represents a part of the mane. Now, when you put those 2 together, you have procreation. You have the ability to procreate new life. And that is what the ankh represents, new life. It's up to you to represent yourself in the right perspective. But if you keep doing the same thing, you keep getting the same results. And the results that we're getting right now is the police killing us in the street. us being incarcerated, us being denied ability to gain resources to make our business grow. We've been denied so many things that it's unfreaking believable. The denial of black people represents the destruction of white people. I'll say it again. The denial of black people represents the destruction of white people. As long as we are denied what is rightfully ours and what should rightfully be in our possession, then white people will continue to be demised by God. It is not, we don't have to do a damn thing, black people. We don't have to do anything. Just continue being who we are, living a better life than we've lived yesterday, and finding the things that we can do to improve ourselves in this country. Knowing that this is Northwest Africa, by the way. Let's not forget that. This is Northwest Africa, and it is what we consider America. This is our home. It ain't no go back to Africa shit that's gonna work for us, because this is home for us, and it's always gonna be home for us. But the problem is, with this being home for us, we have never been properly represented in the United States of America. As a black person, we are descendants of what came from slaves. And there's some significant things that the American people, the white people, wrote about us that really is not acceptable to us. And if we don't acknowledge that these things that were written about us is not acceptable by us, then we are considered compliance. In other words, a no response is a response. Basically, if you don't respond to what's not right about us, then what you're basically doing is telling America that you comply. You agree with it. You accept it. It's not a problem for you. You know, immediately following the issuance of the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1, 1863, white America chose to create the Black Codes. The Black Codes govern our existence in America from that point to this point. Even though we look back on it and they don't exist no more. But in some places in America, they do exist. Like on that dock where these people got into the fight over positioning on the dock. The white people thought that they had the right to beat that black man up because he was asking them to move. Now, this wasn't the first time that boat has blocked the dock for the actual boat that pays rent to be in that position. You know, if you claim a piece of the dock, you got to pay for it. And this boat that the black man was representing paid for this particular slot. But these white folks had parked their pontoon boat there and they didn't want to move. So when the black man told them to move, they got mad and wanted to jump on the black man. They didn't want to jump on him. They jumped on him. But here comes the support from the black people, letting you know that you can't just beat up a black man in the street anymore and get away with it. And they were adamant about supporting that black man, and they did. But how and why is it so difficult for us to get this across the USA? And as I say, said before and I say again, what happens in Georgia affects us in Texas. What happens in Texas affects us in Colorado. What happens in Colorado affects us in Washington State. So all across this land, whatever occurs affects us all over the country. Because if they think they can do that in Georgia, the next step is to do it in Texas, and the next step is to do it in Colorado and all across the country. If you notice what's happening in Texas on the border, you see that there are mostly Black Latinos, Black Spanish-speaking people trying to get asylum in the United States. So here comes Gregory Abbott, the governor of Texas. He'd ordered the buoys to be placed in the Rio Grande River, which violates Texas rights or violates the federal government rights, the United States rights, because the United States governs the border. Even though Texas is responsible to land on Texas soil, the United States owns that waterway. So here comes Governor Abbott placing those buoys in the center of that waterway on federal property. So now the federal government is suing Gregory Abbott for those damn buoys in the water. So far, we've only heard that there have been 2 deaths associated with those buoys, but nobody can really prove that those deaths that happened there is contributed to the buoys. So nobody's blaming Gregory Abbott right now. Nobody's blaming him for the deaths of those 2 people. But the forgotten ones are those Black people of Hispanic descent speaking Spanish. And then they're trying to get asylum in the United States. So right now, all the Republican states are sending National Guard troops down to the border, and they don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. You know, don't forget about the Black man that died down on the border. He was a National Guardsman that they sent down there. And we continue to do these dumbass things to fight against each other. America is so fucked up when it comes to people getting along, states getting along, parties getting along, that is unfreaking believable. And, you know, I used the F-bomb, I dropped it, but it's not as bad as what's actually happening in Congress. It's not as bad as what's happening on the election campaign trail. All this stuff, man, this is America, and we are representing ourselves like pure assholes. Pure assholes. And then, you know, God is trying to knock on the door and tell America that you need to stop the bullshit and get your shit together. Look at how God sent those winds down through the channels in Hawaii and destroyed an entire town, an affluent town. God destroyed an affluent town. Last time I heard, we were in the 90s of people died in that fire. It burned so damn fast, and it's out. It's out now. Even the winds are still blowing, but the fire is out. It burned all the way to the water. People were diving and jumping in the water to keep from being burned. This is God working on America's soil to tell America that y'all effing up somewhere down the damn line. Straighten your shit up. Get your shit together. But America don't want to hear that shit. They continue to do the dumb shit that they do. And that is to not recognize what Black people contributed to this country. Every president that came after President Lincoln President Lincoln was the 16th president. We on the 46th president right now. Every president from the 16th president to the 46th president has not done much of a damn thing to eradicate the way black people have been treated. It ain't our fault that you incarcerated us. We were incarcerated and made to work hard labor for free, and you got paid for it. Your descendants are now benefiting from the money that you made from us working on your plantation. And now you want to act like you don't see why we're so upset or why we don't like y'all white ass people that do the shit that you do. We don't hate you. We just don't like the things that you do to fight against us. You're blocking us. Every time you block us, God blocks you, because we're the chosen one. Every time you block us, God blocks you. White women are our biggest opponents, black people. White women are our biggest opponents. And you're probably saying, why? Because they're the most disbelievers in slavery existing. They're the most disbelievers in oppression that we suffer. They're the most disbelievers and the atrocities that happened to black people during slavery. And they come out today saying, well, we don't understand why we just can't love each other and we can't be friends with each other all the way to church. We don't understand why this is why you act like this, because you think you were treated bad during slavery, but that time is gone and it shouldn't be happening now. It's gone. But that's bullshit. We are the descendants of slaves. And when you mention the word slave, it is worse than the Holocaust. It is worse than anything that has ever happened on the planet today. The way we have been treated. And then you got the nerve to say we are citizens of this country. But then in the 13th Amendment with the 20 sections, there's a statement in there saying that if you are of African slavery descent, you cannot be a citizen of the United States of America. I'm not just pulling this shit out of my ass. This is a fact. This is written by our Constitution and the 13th Amendment, 20 sections. See, they bullshit you by showing you the 13th Amendment, 6 section, the short one. Take a look at the 13th Amendment, 20 section. The real one has 20 sections. Look it up, and I think his verse is paragraph section number 7, I think, or 8. Might be, I don't know what it is exactly, but it's in there. And if you read the 13th Amendment 20 section, you'll see where it says that you can never be a citizen of the United States. Then they come along with the 14th Amendment saying everybody's a citizen. We all on the same sheet of music. We all got the same opportunities. And that's a goddamn lie. You haven't given us the same opportunities as you have given the rest of white America. You didn't allow us to claim land. We could not purchase land during a certain period of time. You denied us the ability to buy land. You denied us the ability to become landowners when you were giving away land at a penny an acre. We could have took $1 and bought 100 acres. 100 acres. Some black people were able to get land, and they are still struggling to hold on to it. But the government's doing everything in their power to take it. But no president, from the 16th president to the 46th president, has took a gallant effort to equalize the playing field. They have not done anything to equalize the playing field. We have always been at a deficit, and we have always fought from a deficit when it comes to economics, when it comes to education, when it comes to property. And the reason behind all this, they pushed this education thing on us. If you want to work here, you got to get educated. You got to know this. But now they're pushing, you don't have to have a degree to get this job. You can get this job without a degree. But this job is a very technical job, and a job that takes you to use more than just the cerebral parts of your brain to analyze what's actually required of the job. But they're telling you now, you don't have to have a degree to perform this job. Dumbing down America. You only make yourself look bad when you do that, America. But yet you pushed all this effort for black people to go out and get degrees, and black people went out and got degrees in hordes. And now you don't want to require degrees to get these jobs because more black people have degrees applying for these jobs than white people. So you take away the standard now, so white people without degrees can apply for these jobs. And then you take away affirmative action, so you don't have any objections to hire white people in these jobs with no degrees. You know what you're doing. You're doing everything to work for you. You're not doing it to work for black people. You're doing it to work for you. And that's a problem. That is a big problem, America. That's what you do. And then you got the nerve to let white women come out in public and say that slavery didn't exist. It wasn't as bad as people make it out to be. You got DeSantis saying slavery did us a favor. Dumbass governor of Florida walking around saying slavery did us a favor. That ought to tell you how stupid he is, and his dumbass trying to run for president. How do we get all these dumbass people running for president that don't understand? They don't understand what we have been through and what we are going through. Every single black person alive got PTSD. Some of us don't really know it. Some of us don't want to acknowledge it. There are some black people who made it through this crisis in America, and they were successful black men and successful black women. Now, you think that's because of you. You think you did that all by yourself. But see, there's a plan to that shit. See, all of us come from the ghetto. All of us are descendants of the ghetto. You're from the damn hood. No matter how affluent you think you are right now, you're from the hood. I almost said the N-word. You're from the hood. Now, because you are from the hood, you were chosen to be where you are today. Because the white man said, we cannot leave these smart Negroes in the hood. Because if we leave the smart Negroes in the hood, then they have the potential to become leaders in the hood. And we don't want the hood to have no damn leaders. So why would we leave the smart Negroes in the hood so they can become leaders in the hood? Let's take them out of there and assimilate them into our culture and let them think that they're better than the Negroes in the hood, and let them think that they are like us. That's what they do. That's what they do. Breaking news. 5 people are dead from a blast. 3 homes destroyed after Pennsylvania explosion. What the hell's going on in these houses? That's the second one this in the last 2 weeks. Houses that blew up in the neighborhood. What these people doing in these damn houses? They doing some shit. They probably making meth and drugs and all kind of shit going on in there. And they're using these chemicals. And these houses are blowing up. Breaking news again. COVID is still COVID, and it's still a threat to America. And they call it a triple threat. COVID, the flu, the respiratory virus, all these different things are not going away. COVID ain't going nowhere, but the America will not acknowledge the extent of COVID because America refused to shut down the economy again. They're not going to shut this economy down. They will plow through this damn COVID shit and every other thing going on in this country. They're going to plow through it because they don't want to lose in this country. They don't want to stop the economy from rotating. In other words, again, when they speak of the economy, what are they talking about? They're talking about poor people spending money in America. That's how they judge the rate of the economy. So when they start saying the economy is slowing down, they're saying that the poor people are not spending enough of their hard-earned money in the stores and the markets, making the rich folks richer. And that's exactly what it is. You're not making the rich folks richer when you're not spending money. We cannot allow America to forget about us. And if we think we are just like them, we are damn fools bigger than we think we are, or bigger than I think we are. We have to realize that we are not like them. I don't give a damn if they allowed us to step foot in their neighborhood and live in their communities. That doesn't mean we're like them. If they brought us up into their corporations, because we don't own no corporations, they brought us up into their corporations and gave us prestigious positions. They gave us that to pull us away from the hood because we would have been too powerful to stay in the hood. We would have started bringing the hood out of the hood, bringing people up out of the hood. So they bring us to their culture where we learn how they live, we learn how they operate, we learn what cars they drive. We start to do the shit that they do, and we start to act like they do. We start to live where they live, and now we think we're like them. We think we're like them. And that's exactly what they want you to think. But you're not like them. You're still a nigga. Even though they have given you everything to be just like them, you still are black. You're not white. And as long as you have that melanation in your skin, you can never be like them. But yet, in your mind, you are thinking like them. Your thinking is developed like theirs because they are letting you see and hear and do what they do. And now you're starting to think like they think. You're starting to eat what they eat. You're starting to shit when they shit. You're starting to do all these things like they do it. So now you have assimilated yourself into their culture. And if your mind is not strong enough, you start to think that you're better than the black people in the ghetto. And your black ass came from the ghetto. Ask Clarence Thomas, that sorry ass Negro that's on the Supreme Court, who think he's above the law. They need to get his ass up out of there, because he's wrong. Clarence Thomas is dead wrong. The man holding the chair on that dock incident, he's been charged with some type of simple assault. So you people walking around with a chair thinking it's a joke, this man doesn't think it's a joke anymore. He's been charged. And the police don't believe that this was a racially motivated event, but it was. The police don't believe it was a racially motivated event. So 5 white people off of that dock have been charged with simple assault or third-degree assault. That's pretty sad. Only 5. It was more than that out there. They need to get them all, and they need to charge them and give them some jail time for jumping on the black man. That's not right. As I said before, 93 people found dead in Hawaii so far in that fire. Hundreds of people in their cars lined up trying to get back in to that little city that burned, but they won't let them in. So the line is at least a mile long for people. So Donald Trump still running for president, and he's been indicted so many damn times. So Georgia grand jury is planning to issue an indictment this week to let them tell it. They're going before the grand jury to see if they can get an indictment on Donald Trump again. So he has an indictment for plotting to overturn the 2020 election and doing what he did on January 6th, inciting a riot, inciting to overthrow the United States government. Let's see if the United States are going to do what they say they'll do if you try to overthrow the government. He's also been indicted for the documents he took, the top secret documents he took to Mar-a-Lago and had them all over the damn floor and in other people's hands that they shouldn't have been in. He did it. And you still got a bunch of crazy ass people supporting Donald Trump. What the fuck is wrong with these people? They still support Donald Trump. Doesn't make sense. That's 2 indictments. He's under indictment in New York for falsifying business records, inflating his worth by billions of dollars. And the last one, the 2020 election in Georgia, trying to make people find 11,000 votes for him. Talk about Clarence Thomas all the time, but now I'm starting to see this guy named Tim Scott, another black guy that thinks he's right and that affirmative action didn't help him get where he got. He pulled himself up by the bootstraps and nobody helped him because he was black. Another damn fool. Him and Clarence Thomas are 2 fools in a pot. Tim Scott and Clarence Thomas, 2 of the worst black people in America that represent America. And see, white folks love them 2 niggas. They love them because they have abandoned who they are. They have turned their back on who they are, what they are, and how they got there. They don't respect what was done for them by their ancestors. They don't even think slavery was real. They think we volunteered to be slaves. When they get Clarence Thomas on these lavish vacations, hopefully America will do something about that man. Texas trespassing on federal property. We know about that. They placed the buoys in the Rio Grande River. They put concertina wire along the Texas border. And the Republicans sending National Guard troops down there to help. And the National Guard troops don't know what they're doing. They're either killing the wrong people or they're getting killed. And most of the people that they show on television right now trying to cross the border are black. But the bottom line is most people trying to cross that border are of more of Hispanic descent than more of black descent. But what you see on TV, just like they do in Africa, they show you the worst of the worst of black. They're not going to show you that Africa has cities that look 10 times better than American cities. And in Africa, that they don't have credit, that people buy their properties out of cash, or they don't own the property. They buy their cars with cash, or they don't own the property or the cars. You've had 4 vaccines available so far for COVID. Now they're coming back with another one, and you're going to have to take it if you want to exist and operate in the American society. You know, what do you think martial law is? Martial law is when they demand you to do something on an American scale. For instance, you were not allowed to go to work in many places, and the federal government supported that. If you had not taken a COVID shot, you could not work here. Even though you've been working there for 25 years, you could not come back to work because you had not taken the COVID shot. Now you can't have a livelihood because you don't want to take a damn vaccine. They made the vaccines, they didn't make them mandatory, but they made them mandatory. If you wanted this job, you had to have your vaccine. Oh, and I forgot about the indictment for hush money paid to Stormy Daniels. That's another one. This man is trouble. He is walking around like ain't nothing going down. Why are we so gullible in America to still support that man? We're still watching Ukraine fight Russia, but what we're seeing there is that Russia is kicking Ukraine in the ass, but nobody will tell the damn truth about it. They want to keep lying like Ukraine is gaining ground, but Ukraine ain't gaining shit. America gave them $140 billion of shit and money, and they still losing the war. They can't even blow up a damn bridge. They can't blow up a bridge. Why is that? Why can't they just blow up a simple damn bridge? What is wrong with Ukraine? Ukraine cannot win the war against Russia. Russia can fight that war for the next 25 years. And how long can Ukraine last? Because Ukraine is not going over to Russia blowing up shit, but Russia is blowing up every damn thing that they can get their hands on in Ukraine. Before you know it, Ukraine ain't gonna have one damn building structure left because Russia gonna keep blowing that shit up. Now, I sympathize for them being in war with Russia, but enough is enough. You got to stop that war. It's been going on almost 2 years now, a little over a year and a half. In that fire in Hawaii, there was no alarm system to let people know that fire was coming. That fire wiped them out so fast that fire was moving at 50 miles an hour. In other words, catching fire and moving forward towards the water. And it was moving at 50 miles an hour with the winds blowing up to 75 miles an hour, coming through the valleys and creases in the mountains, over the mountains, blowing towards the water. And it blew right over that city. Who knows how the fire started, but it did start, and it wiped out the entire city. There may be 1-2 buildings left, but every damn thing burned, and people could not get out that damn fast. I don't know if you knew that the police have the right to enter your home. They have to have a reasonable reason to want to enter your home. They have to have reasonable suspicion that something is not right, is dangerous going on in there for them to enter. But for just them walking up to your house trying to get in there, they shouldn't be able to do it. They should not be able to do it. But that is what America does. They give these police these alibis, and they allow them to do things that they shouldn't be able to do. And then they act like they don't know. Well, we don't know why they hit the wrong house, because they stupid. That's why they hit the wrong house. They dumbasses. Police are not that damn smart. Some are very smart, but most of the police officers are ignorant as fuck. Dumbass motherfuckers. They are dumb. They were just smart enough to pass that simple ass test, and physically fit enough to pass that simple ass test to get on the police force, and they won't let that shit go to save their life. That's all they can do, because they're too dumb to do anything else. Now, some of them are smart, don't get me wrong, but most of the police officers are ignorant as hell. Ignorant. Only thing they know how to do is hurt black people. And that's what they do. They hurt black people. The FBI shot a man who was threatening Biden's visit. And nobody is saying very much about it. The FBI shot that man and because he had made accusations, posted accusations, and they shot him and killed him. And that was the end of the story. Nobody's being prosecuted for it. Schools are now considering mental health days for children, because they deserve mental health days. They deserve to be given time off, because this COVID stuff messed up a lot of kids. We don't want to admit that our kids have been forgotten in this position, and they have been treated like they are normal, but they are not normal. And now you think they're coming back to school. The public school system is dying. The public school system is dying, and it's dying because the public school system is full of shit. They're the ones who won't teach Black history. They're the ones who are pulling the books of Black people out of school. But when they go to charter school, they can look at any book they want. So most of the people of color kids are going to charter schools. They are saying, screw public school systems, because the public school systems need a major overhaul. There's no way. They spend so much damn money on dumb shit, it don't make no sense. You see buses running, 3 and 4 buses running the same damn routes, picking up kids on the same damn corner. And when the buses get to school, they got 9 kids on a 40-passenger bus. This is day in and day out. Pick up and drop off 9 kids a day on a 40-passenger bus. What a freaking waste of money. And 2 or 3 buses coming to the same stop. every day, 3 in the morning and in the afternoon. They come to these stops. Why haven't we become smarter with our money than what we're doing in these school systems? The ISDs is the biggest screw up in history, and nobody wants to admit it. Everybody want to keep thinking that they can fix it. Right now, they got school teachers on buses going around the neighborhoods, knocking on people's doors, trying to register kids to school. And these kids, these parents are going with them. You know, the teachers coming to their house, man, why don't you register to go to school? And they register to go to public school, but when time for school, they ain't going to no damn public school. They going to the charter school because public school is full of shit. You can't learn in public school. And now in Texas, the law says you have to have an SRO, is a security resource officer, which is not more than a dumb police officer that can't cut it on the real police force. So he goes into the school to harass kids and arrest children, black children at that, because they're being arrested 2 to 3 times worse than white kids. Black kids are the ones being watched. A study was done that shows when teachers watch what's happening in the school system, when they watch the kids, they're watching the black kids. They're not watching these little white devils. They're watching the black kids. And the black kids are just trying to do the right thing, but they're the ones getting caught up every single damn time and getting put out of school on suspension at these public school systems. If they got an SRO at a school, don't send your kid to that school if they're black, because those kids will be subject to the police jurisdiction. You know, the government already set us up for failure. So we got our kids going through a pipeline from grade school to high school to the prison school. You know, black people are going to prison way more than whites, even though white people are committing more crimes than black people all over the United States. But we're going to jail for things that we didn't do more than anybody. The school system is screwed. That's the best thing I can say. Don't go to ISD schools if you're black, especially now, because now they made it mandatory that an SRO is on the campus. And we don't want our children having to deal with the police in a damn elementary school or high school. And you want to know why our kids are acting out in school is because you're not giving them the right material. You're trying to force bullshit down their throats that they ain't having it. And I don't blame the kid. Rebel. If you're in a public school system and they trying to make you think that slavery was voluntary, tell them to kiss your ass and get them walk out of that school class. If they're not stimulating your mind, get up and walk out of that class. Go to the principal office. Tell them you're not being stimulated. This class is a waste of your time. I don't think you should be there anyway. You should be in a charter school because they're more in tune with what you need than a public school system. You know, sometimes when you do things the same way for so long, you've got to change with the time. The time has changed. Public school system 40 years ago shouldn't be the same in 2023. And it is. And that's where the problem lies. You're trying to bring the same policies that you had back then into 2023, and it just doesn't work. Peace and justice. There is no peace when there is no justice. And that seems to be what's wrong with America today. As long as we got no peace here with black people, we're not going to have no justice. As long as there's no justice, there's not going to be any peace. That's just the way it is. You know, we have a destiny. Our destiny is already pre-laid by God. Our destiny It's manifesting into the places we need to be. And as long as the white people block us from achieving our destiny that God has placed on us, we are the chosen people, and we should not be blocked from our destiny by these people. And as long as they do it, they will experience what they've experienced in Hawaii, what they've experienced in America, all these tornadoes, all this hot weather, all these people dying from hot weather, all this homelessness, all this drug use, all this criminality. As long as white people keep doing what they're doing, God is going to punish the whole country. The whole country. They have to do right by black people eventually. And if they don't ever do it, they're going to continue to suffer the way they're suffering right now. Tornadoes came through plantation towns in the Mississippi Delta. Fires came through affluent neighborhoods that are 99% white. America is losing its cut. But this is the second time America has lost a credit rating. It has been degraded twice. We're just slowly sinking because our leadership is so damn old and feeble, and they're trying to do the same shit that they did 50 years ago in 2023. Look at the United States Senate. There's too many old ass white people sitting in that Senate. And I ain't afraid to say it. There's too many old ass white people sitting in the United States Senate right now. 50% of those people are over 70 years old. They need to get the fuck on, go home. They're just holding up the progress of the United States of America. This is a great country. It's a great country, but it cannot grow trying to use the same tactics that they're using in the Senate and in the House and in the Washington, D.C. We're not going to grow with these same people in office. Look at Mitch McConnell. His ass so stupid. He stands up there and forget he's standing there. These people are done, but they won't quit. Look at Nancy Pelosi. It took her husband getting hit in the head with a hammer before she moved her ass out the way. Who's next? Because they're going to keep dropping like flies one by one. It's going to take 50 years to get rid of all them old ass farts up there. They need to go home, but they're afraid to go home because they know we're going to take over America. This is our land. This is Northwest Africa. Breaking news. The cousin of the guy who killed all those kids and those teachers in Uvalde, he was threatening to do some of the same things that happened back in Uvalde, and now he's arrested for making threats, communicating a threat. People, you got to realize that these kids right now are stretching. They're desperate for attention. They are desperate for help. They are desperate for recognition. So America has several crises that it has not dealt with. They have not dealt with the mental health issues of our children. They have not dealt with the denial of black people, redlining, slavery, black codes, Jim Crow, all this shit you've done to black people. Denial of voting rights, all of the shit you've done to us to keep us from growing, and yet we're still here. You can't kill, I don't mean this to say we cockroaches, but you can't get rid of roaches. Roaches gonna be around when we gone. We're just like roaches to white people. We're gonna be around when y'all gone. The denial of black America will always be the demise of white America. As long as you deny us, it's your demise. We're going to lift every chair and sing. No, we're going to lift every chair and swing until all the hummingbirds sing. There have been 15 natural disasters in America this year that cost over $1 billion. That has never happened before in this short period of time. 15 major disasters that cost America over $1 billion. And every single time America says, hey, we're going to throw $1 billion at you. We're going to throw some money at you to get that shit back together. Where all this damn money coming from? Ain't no damn gold in Fort Knox. We've had tornadoes. We've had torrential winds, torrential rains. We've had floods. We've had fires. We've had all these natural disasters. We've had people eaten by alligators because they dumbass know this damn water got alligators in it and they walking their ass down through there like they don't know. We've had white people eaten by cougars up in the mountains in California, going jogging up in the freaking mountains like they don't know. 2 weeks ago, somebody came up missing because a mountain lion ate their ass. And you're still taking your dumb ass up there. What the is going on up there? We got people still fooling with these sharks in the ocean. Like the sharks ain't getting pissed off. You catching these sharks, sticking hoses down their throat, sticking shit on their fins, and putting them back in the water and thinking they're not getting pissed off at you. It's like backing a raccoon up in the corner. He gonna attack your ass. So people are getting towed up. People are getting bitten by sharks, and then they got the audacity to say, well, we'll go back in the water. You don't get it. Just like you don't get what you're doing to us. You don't get it. Shark attacks, alligator attacks, wild animal attacks is bad. The forgotten woman or the forgotten one is our black women. We always need to remember that we are here because of our black women. They are the ones who make us who we are. You know, doing this show makes me believe that there is so much information that's missing in the black community that broadcasts like these are absolutely necessary for us to get certain information out to our people, because we are being taught, trained, and led by the white people doctrine. And that white people doctrine is not right for us. It is not right for us. We're not the same, and that is our problem. We are starting to think that we are just like them, and we are not just like them. We're a culture of our own. And as black people in the USA, we have to determine our culture and our ancestry. We cannot say our history started after the Civil War. We didn't start our history when the Emancipation Proclamation was issued in 1863. Our lives didn't start then. Our history goes way beyond that. 10,000 years before that. But if we want to accept the fact that white folks can determine that our history started after the Civil War, then we bigger fools than they think we are. Our history go well beyond that. And if we don't recognize it, we're going to continue to be treated the way we're treated because of one thing. And that one thing is we do not have a nationality. No, Chinese got a nationality. Koreans got a nationality. All right, you see a Korean, what's your nationality? I am Korean. You can define Korean. You can define Chinese. You can define Australian. You can define every other race in the world except for Black Americans. We don't even know what the fuck our name is. We call ourselves Black Americans. We call ourselves African Americans. They used to call us colored people. They used to call us Negroes. They've always called us niggers. They've called us people of color. They've called us all these white man names. And there's only one entity that can give us a name, and that is God. And God has already given us our names. Nobody can change that. Nobody's on the level of God. Nobody can change what God has called us. We have a nationality, but Abraham Lincoln tells you in the Emancipation Proclamation that we have to do something about it. If we don't do anything about it, we are continually known as slaves. Now, in the initial, there's 4 Emancipation Proclamations, by the way. In the initial Emancipation Proclamation, it says that America will compensate the slave owners for every liberated slave up to $100. It's written in the Emancipation Proclamation, the very first one. And then you go to the third one, which says the Compensation Emancipation Proclamation. It says that the legislature has the power to determine who we will pay as who we will allow the U.S. to assume debt with. And it says, it goes further, it says the United States will not pay any slave owner for the liberation of slaves. But at the same time, the United States has an obligation to have all free people in America. Slavery is illegal forever. That's what it said. So the slave owners had no choice but to liberate us because of the Civil War, because of the Emancipation Proclamation. Now, and they really cooperated to a certain extent because they thought the federal government was going to pay them for not fighting against letting those slaves go. They didn't fight against letting the slaves go, they let them go. And so a couple of years later, after the slaves had been freed, the U.S. comes back and said, we ain't giving y'all shit. And y'all ain't gonna do shit about it. Because we're the United States. We do what the hell we want to do. And we reneged on paying you. So you can't do nothing about it. But think about it. If you walk into Walmart and you got a basket full of shit and you accidentally forgot to put this thing up on the counter and let them scan it and pay for it. So now you get to the door and you're friendly enough to let that man at the door see your receipt. And they see that thing in your basket that's not on your receipt. And he said, well, this is not on your receipt. You mind if I take it out of your basket? And then he takes it out of your basket and put it back on the shelf. So what's to say that we're not still slaves? In the mind or mentality of some of these white folks, we are still slaves. And technically we are, because the United States didn't pay for it. They didn't pay for our freedom like they said they was if you did it. So it's like they asked you to do something because you're going to get compensation, and then they didn't pay for it. That's like us getting a product out of a store and we didn't pay for it, and we're trying to get out of the door with it, and they catch it and take it back. but they couldn't catch the slaves and take them back. Same principle. And that's why we have to determine our own nationality. The Emancipation Proclamation tells us that if we don't do anything about it, we remain in that slave state. We have to go in and proclaim our birthright. We have to proclaim our birthright. And in order to do that, let me tell you why you got to proclaim your birthright. Because you gave up your birthright when you were issued a birth certificate at birth. Now, nobody knew, all of us got birth certificates because we did not know. And what you did when you got a birth certificate, you basically gave the state control of your child when you signed that document to get a birth certificate for your child. And they give you 15 days to do a birth certificate on your newborn child. But once you got to do it. That's the law. Once you do it, then you have to get your birth certificate removed from the rolls afterwards. And they'll do it. They'll remove it from the rolls of chattel property. All you got to do is request it. And that's what the Emancipation Proclamation was saying. You have to do something. And if you don't do anything, it's not going to happen. You have to do something. And what it's called is, I have to look. You have to go to the state, and the state will tell you how long it takes and what it costs for you to become authenticated. That's what I was looking for. In order for you to become authenticated, you have to request it. Because if you don't authenticate your birth certificate, you belong to the state. That's how our state can send in the Child Protective Services into your home and take your kid. That's how they can send in the welfare people to review your house and see how you living. That's how they can do that, because you belong to the state and they have jurisdiction over you and your child. But you probably got a birth certificate too that has never been authenticated. So go online and look up how to authenticate your birth certificate. And you have to do it on a state level. And then when you get that back, you have to take your state authentication and forward that to a federal level to get authenticated in Washington, D.C. Now you've authenticated yourself. You've removed yourself from the normal ownership by the state and ownership by the country, by the federal government. You've removed yourself from that. Now it is time for you to claim, that's claiming your birthright. You've claimed your birthright. Now it is time for you to claim your nationality. So there's two things you got to do in order. That's what the Emancipation Proclamation tell you. If you read it, you'll know this, but they don't want you to know it. So they don't encourage you to read it. You have to get your birthright. That's how you get your birthright. And then once you get your birthright, you claim your nationality, which the only nationality that you are in America as a black person is a Moor. And how do I say this? I say this because there were black people in America way hundreds of thousands of years before somebody landed on Plymouth Rock. See, black people did not write their history, they passed it on verbally. So when you became slaves, or our ancestors became slaves, they stopped the passing of our ancestry. They took it away and they beat us and they killed us if we tried to pass on our heritage to the next generation. We couldn't do it. We had to learn the white man way or we would be killed. And so we learned it. We had to. But now we have an opportunity to do what we should have been doing a long time ago, is claiming our birthright and our nationality. And I say that because Africa, this is Northwest Africa. And if you take a look at this map that I keep up, it is called Pangea. Now, Pangea is how we used to live, how the countries were fit together. You see Africa by itself, and then you see the United States, Canada, Brazil, Mexico. You see how it fits over the Horn of Africa? And if you look up there in the little red, you're going to see Morocco. And if you see how the United States east peninsula fits right next to Morocco, that's why we are considered Moroccans, and our heritage is Moors, because the Moors are descendant from Cush to Mohammed to Ham. All those people are our ancestors. And you can, if you look at the lineage, you'll understand why we are Moors and descendants of Morocco. And once you establish that, you go to and get naturalized, and you become a Moroccan citizen as well as a United States citizen. If a person comes from Korea, they still are a Korean citizen, and now they are a United States citizen. They got dual citizenship. You should have dual citizenship because you fit into a particular nation, and that's what you should do. And if you don't do it, you're depriving your children and your children's children of their rightful birthright. You should get it done. You should get your whole family done, because you're depriving them of their birthright. And we have a birthright. This is the Black News Network, the real voice of Black USA, broadcasting the news from a Black perspective. We don't own the rights to the music, but we do own the rights to what we say. I want to ask you to please subscribe to my YouTube channel, because without you, I don't exist. Please go on Facebook and like and comment about the show today, about the show last week, and you'll see that there are other shows, and you'll see that I always post something about never forgetting our past, because you are now what they were then. And if you don't get that, do some research, and you'll see why I continually say you are now what they were then. And you don't fit in with this other society. You're better than that other society. You see how they lie, cheat, and steal to get what they want, to hold you back, to make it look like they're right and you're wrong. They do everything within their damn power to keep from giving you what you're supposed to have. They're getting to the point where they don't want nobody to talk about your history, because they're taking away from theirs. And you're telling the truth about how dirty they are. So thank you for watching the Black News Network.
Thank you for watching the Black News Network, where we bring you the news from a Black perspective, from challenging politically correct narratives to uncovering the unfiltered truth. We're dedicated to keeping you informed and empowered.